And the South really says if Abraham Lincoln is elected, we are going to secede. And when Lincoln is elected, South Carolina, true to its word, because they believe that Abraham Lincoln was an abolitionist president, despite the fact that that's not what the Republican Party was all about, they do secede 4 days after the election. And over the next 6 weeks, 6 other southern states of Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas all leave. But the president at the time, who's still James Buchanan for another 4 months, does nothing about the secession. Now, James Buchanan didn't believe that the South was allowed to leave under the Constitution, yet at the same time, he couldn't find any constitutional authority to keep the South in. He thought, well, you know what, even if I can use force, the army that I need is out fighting Indians in the West, and many people in the North really just hope to try to find a way to reconcile rather than have to go to any war. Now, at the last second, there's something called the Crittenden Compromise. And what this is really trying to do was basically recreate the Missouri Compromise line. So slavery in the territories would be prohibited north of the Mason-Dixon line, but all current or future territories south of the line would have slavery. Now, Abraham Lincoln rejected this plan because what this would have allowed was an extension of slavery at all, and that's what the Republican Party was against. So in the end, you got to think about, well, why did the South end up seceding? Because this obviously is something that we've seen on the horizon now almost seemingly for 200 years as the North and the South really grew into different regions. So the North secedes because of the rise of the Republican Party. They think it's an abolitionist party, despite the fact that, for the most part, it's not. You look at ideas like the Underground Railroad, which had constantly been a problem for the South. You look at violence by people like John Brown. You know, the South thought that they could actually just go and do their own thing and that the North would not actually try to stop them. The leaders in the South had long felt inferior to the North. The North had the cities, the North had the industry, the North had more wealth, and they were trying to sort of strike out on their own. Also, at the same time, they really saw themselves sort of in the spirit of this whole compact theory that we had seen going all the way back to the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions and even the nullification crisis in South Carolina between 1828 and 1833, that they had this right, that the states had come together to form a union, and if something was problematic,